Weekend, and that means it's time for another double header in the Drafters Million, where it's full point PPR, no pods, just total scoring for 17 weeks, and of course a pretty good shot at overlay with likely $400,000 ish going into the tournament. Of course, I'm all in a draft room here, and today I'll be picking in the 4-hole. I'm going to talk about some preseason game stuff. Going to go through the PFF recap from Nathan Yankee once again, as we always do on the weekend. Talk about stuff that mattered, even though yesterday was mostly, oops, there we go. There. I'm playing on another screen here. Got a pick coming up here. Let's get this going, and we'll talk about the games. And we got Jamar Chase here. Chase coming down in most rooms. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, all guys that I do like a fair amount here. I'm going to go Amon-Ra here. Amon-Ra, pick 4, full point PPR. Total points feels pretty good, knowing that we do expect the Lions to be competent all year. Didn't update the banner. I'm getting started real slow today, guys, so bear with me. Drafters Million number 26 for me. This was a free ticket as well entry, because you do get that free ticket at 25, and we are in it now, and you got the banner going. Preseason news though, the one thing I will say right away before we go game by game, really liked seeing what the Seahawks did yesterday in the one drive. That's kind of what I was hoping to see this entire time period out of them. They were one team that I think were at risk of not playing starters the entire preseason, but thankfully both they and Carolina showed us a little glimpse of what we're hoping to see. And I will say in that Seattle drive, that was the Ryan Grubb offense I want to see. I don't know if people are going to catch up on that because of the fact it was just one drive. But even that DK Metcalf touchdown, was the kind of plays that DK Metcalf is going to do really well within this offense. Playing that role last year, that in that UW offense, Michael Penix played, to a lot of his credit, did a good job being a vessel for guys like Roma Dunes to get targeted downfield, like Jalen Polk to get targeted downfield. For as much as Jalen McMillan was out there, he played well in the slot. That was an offense that worked well, and I don't think it was all Michael Penix based on the numbers. So seeing Seattle do that yesterday, I think was one thing that was reassuring. Panthers, though, did play starters. It was Deontay Johnson leading the way in the receivers. Adam Thielen not far behind, then Mingo and Leggett splitting snaps behind them. So Mingo still seems like a viable bet. He sucked once again, though. Think Leggett catches up at some point, but Leggett didn't earn a target yesterday. So not the greatest run up for Leggett. He's with the first team a little bit. Mingo's still ahead of him. It's basically what we've thought in camp anyway. Mingo's still, I wouldn't even say a viable last round pick. He's a last round pick you could take here if you have Bryce Young. You have Tampa Bay week 17 correlation on drafters. You can just take him in the 20th round if you really want to. But I feel like Leggett coming for him. Leggett's got to play better, but I do think he's better than Jonathan Mingo right away. Ja'Tavion Sanders, also leading tight end, was pretty interesting to see here. It's Ja'Tavion Sanders with 10 snaps. We're at 5 for Jordan Matthews. So it is a game, again, with no Ian Thomas, no Tommy Tremble. Sanders has been benefiting from those guys not being out there. But I think Sanders has established himself as a viable last-round pick. Less so for Miles Sanders, picks up just 2 snaps. We're at 10 for Chuba Hubbard with the first team, again, according to PFF's data. The Bills side didn't play any starters. We saw Justin Shorter, Tyrell Shavers, KJ Hamler. Pretty good day for Frank Gore, getting most of that first team work. Was a split, though, with Darrington Evans for him. He got to 100 yards in that game. I still think Frank Gore Jr. is good. He's a name. He's a junior name. Makes people draw their eyes to him a little bit more. But really was not a lot to reading for the Buffalo side. Checking chat, so let's get it going. Spags, time to ship it on drafters. We hope so. Mama, we made it. We got some GMs here. Let's see. Carson Steele. Cheaper Ray Davis. I don't know that I'm buying into that. He's also nowhere near as talented as Ray Davis or any real RB who got drafted this year or any year. I think he's a viable last round pick just in the wish casting way that it would be. But he's not really a guy that I think you're going to flock to or want to flock to the way that it seems like people do want to flock to. We have Devontae Adams here. Devon Achane share wouldn't feel bad. No commitments to 0 RB here today. Let's go Devon Achane. Happy to take Devontae Adams in most builds, but Achane I want to get a little bit more of across every site now, given the fact that this price point just got a little bit hard for me to hit, especially as somebody that does prioritize receiver early on. You can do that. I wouldn't. You can. You can follow results from one game and be really stoked about it. Remember, the thing to look at with preseason games, I can't be more clear about this if you're new around here. The thing to look at for preseason games is first team usage, not results in the game necessarily. Sometimes results in a game can portend what a guy does in the future. Jerome Ford had a couple good preseason games a few years back that stuck with the Browns to keep giving him shots to get there. Ford started yesterday mostly because Pierre Strong couldn't go in that game. But that's the stuff you look at long term. For the year, Frank Gore having a 100-yard game that doesn't matter against third teamers does not really do a whole lot. So, okay. Whatever. We got DK Metcalf here. He's on the thumbnail. I'm excited to take him more. Really, I'm about 2x the field on him, a little bit less than that on BBM. Not sure where I am with him on drafters, but for DK Metcalf, I think just a pick at this point feels more solid to me. I've liked him in this range. I think honestly, if people really look at that last game closely, DK Metcalf should come up a little bit higher. Him coming up to the second round, I think, would not be crazy. But I don't know if people look at that game that closely as I did last night, where I was like, holy shit, this is everything I wanted to see out of the Seattle offense. Spags taking the prince that was promised. I think that's Frank Gore Jr. now, based on the chat. But thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see what else. So Chuba leads running back rotation. That's the main thing to take away. Johnson's safe, Thielen's safe, all of that. And I thought Bryce Young acquitted himself fairly well. Obviously, they're protecting him pretty closely there. They almost didn't play him in the preseason because they didn't want to, show him too early. But I thought he looked ready to go. The Dave Canales effect, I would say clearly in there. All the catches that those guys had were past 10 yards or more than 10 yards. So I was encouraged by Carolina's offense too, a team that I've thought is a pretty low buying window overall. Steelers, we got Pickens, Jefferson, and Calvin Austin playing 5-4-3 snaps. Russell Wilson played one drive and left. At this point, they haven't announced a starter yet. I think Mike Tomlin said he's going to wait till end of week, probably to keep some bullshit competitive advantage going for themselves. Russell Wilson's the starter. On Twitter, you might have seen the beat writers for Pittsburgh have been saying since day one that Russ is going to be the starter. They were victory lapping, going like, oh, it's a real competition, as they pull Russ after one drive where he scores a touchdown. Russ is the starter here. So if you're drafting Fields, you keep making that bet for late season, but there was never really any reason he should have gone the 180s. Is mostly how I felt about that one. Lions snap count was all bench guys. Doris Fountain, though, not playing very much at all. I think was a reflection of him being now much further down the depth chart. Caden Davis and Donovan Peoples-Jones were the favorites, or the starters rather. So now PFF believes they're the favorites for the backup jobs. They're playing behind Khalif Raymond no matter what, but it would seem like if you're going to go for wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, Caden Davis, Donovan Peoples-Jones were those guys, and Doris Fountain, as I speculated early on when we first saw the blurbs about Doris Fountain out there, journeyman guys who aren't that good, they tend to find their depth. It seems like Doris Fountain found his depth. So warned you guys not to load up on him too much. If you took him occasionally in the 18th round, Fountain, it looks like he's a little bit down the depth chart. Might make the active roster, but he's probably looking at wide receiver like 6 right now. Jalen Warren didn't play with the hamstring. Nothing surprising there. Green Bay was all bench. Bo Melton with this bench group. If you've been drafting him, got to keep in mind what you're drafting there. Basically the wide receiver 5 for the team, maybe lower. But let's make our picks here. We got Mahomes at this spot, not the sexiest click in the world. McLaurin, always fun, opens us up for Jaden. His ADP has been coming up on drafters here. We're going to go Terry McLaurin with this click. What, no pieces of Pittsburgh anymore. Their own line still stinks. I mean, look, you shouldn't have ever really wanted much of Pittsburgh anyway. I'm taking Pickens, though. Pickens had a good catch. Pickens had, 2 for 20-something? Pickens is okay. The risk you're running there is just that Pickens is Drake London. That's been my concern from day one. Freiermuth as well. We saw him not getting all the first team work at tight end. They were running a lot of 13 personnel in that game, and overall was a lot of work for the other guys there. So that's really your concern, is that you're already seeing the same shit for Arthur Smith. When people show you who they are, remember it. And Arthur Smith has showed you who he is. We got Amari Cooper coming back here, a little bit of a discount at 52. We're going to scoop that up. Amari Cooper. So we have an Achane, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper start. Different start for me, different configuration. I can't recall ever having a receiver start like this no matter what site. So intrigued by the start here. We'll keep it going. The Packers snap counts, besides that, Emmanuel Wilson leading the way. This game would have been an important one to tell if Marshawn Lloyd had played or not. If Lloyd were healthy and hadn't played, this would be a sign of him being one of the key guys. Instead, we have Emmanuel Wilson, who is playing, but they probably needed him to play because of not enough depth at RB. So Wilson, I know people like to draft him a little bit. If you want to straight fade Marshawn Lloyd, which I think is your death, you could take Emmanuel Wilson, but he is locked in, I guess, RB3 for the Packers right now. For Baltimore, we saw a little bit more work coming for Tez Walker's way, but he was still functionally wide receiver 6 in terms of the amount of snaps he got with the first team. But he came in a little bit earlier, so Tez Walker not dead, but did nothing in the game. Tylan Wallace had the one big play for Baltimore that was of note. Owen Wright also broke his foot, so that could be a way that Rasheen Ali sneaks onto the roster, even though he wasn't active for this game, I believe, because he's hurt. So if you're a Rasheen Ali guy, not somebody I've ever advocated taking, but if you were, I guess you're not dead yet, but you're still probably dead, would be my guess. I think they would add a free agent before they would play Rasheen Ali at this point. We had Houston Texans. That's not accurate. Pickens did not have 100% target per outrun. Hold on. Now I have to pull this up because Adam makes up numbers. No, he did. And you know what? You're right. Fuck it. Okay. I'm thinking of snaps. He had 5 snaps, but he did have 2 routes run, 2 targets. Again, still a little bit of copium though. He's not. It may shock you to hear George Pickens is not going to have a 100% target per outrun when the season starts. But Adam's probably doing one of his classic Adam bits. Defends the bags as hard as anybody. We got Texans. So Texans, no starters going in this one. John Mechie, Ben Skronet going in this one. Not great outlooks for them. Really not clear. Adam, you say things with so much confidence that nobody else in the world believes. It's not literally a joke. You have to recognize the person you put out in the world and the impact you have and how I view things. You often say things that are wildly incorrect based off of just you liking Georgia players. So you have to keep that in mind sometimes, but I understand where you're coming from. And it wasn't a joke because it was literal and you like the guy. We have Hutchinson led the way for the Texans. I fucking hate Adam sometimes, really do. Hutchinson led the way for the Texans though, in terms of usage, in terms of the overall opportunity for him. Guy I liked a little bit. Really you're just competing for jobs with Noah Brown. Noah Brown's been hurt, so that's why he wouldn't have been available to go in this game, so we don't really know where he stands. If I had to guess, though, Noah Brown ahead of Mechie, ahead of Skronek, ahead of Hutchinson. And probably going to be some tough cuts here because you do have the core starters for Houston. You then have guys like these who I think have some merits of being part of the offense. Somebody's going to be a tough cut there. We have Kamara. We have Kamara, Joe Mixon, AR, Kyler here. Receiver would have to dig up a little bit for it. I think scooping the Kamara value. This has been a very value-laden room. I think we have less regulars in here. And as a result, we're getting it. A lot of entries going into drafters right now, so you might get some weird rooms sometimes. And I think we're getting a weird room. All right. So the team so far, Achane Kamara, Amon-Ra, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper. 2 pretty big values in this room with Kamara and Cooper so far. Everything else basically right at ADP, but the team is unique by drafter standards, I think. Let's pick our next pick here. We'll get back to the rest of the games. All the games happened yesterday, so going to take a minute to get through them all. Why is this room weird? A little bit of RB pigging around me, I guess, is the reason why. This guy, kind of wide receiver, pigging a little bit more. AR comes back. AR now a 13-pick discount. Kyler doesn't correlate with anything. I think we just got to scoop the AR discount here. It's too valuable of a player. All right. AR is it. We'll put the jersey on here. It's not my intent to take AR today with no correlation up top, but if this room's going to give you value, again, your job in August, especially in the early parts of drafts, for guys that aren't hurt, guys that aren't fucked up in some way, just scoop the value and make it work for yourself. So that's how it goes. The jersey's on. AR, Devon Achane, Alvin Kamara, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper to start. So it's got to get one more receiver in before, 100, pick 100 ideally to make the build one that we feel good about structurally. And that's where we are with that. Houston, nothing else to note here. Rams, so no Whittington playing, a good sign for him. He was warming up the team. If he had played, I think you would have had to knock him down a little bit because the Rams do put guys who are important to the team's success on ice pretty fast. Took Whittington one more game of playing than it did Puka Nacua last year. But for the Rams, I think overall, nothing to note there besides the fact that they announced Stetson Bennett going to be the QB2. He was a late start or a late pull from not starting in that game. Dresser Wynn went instead, which is really one of the more fictional creative player names. Cam Akers, too, should point him out real fast for the Houston side of things. Cam Akers, unequivocally, I would say, has looked better than Dameon Pierce in the preseason. If you've been taking Dameon Pierce as RB2, the good news for you is that Pierce sat yesterday. The bad news for you is that Akers looks good again in another preseason game. He might have the most juice. Honestly, like we haven't seen Mixon do anything at all. He might have the most juice out of any RB in that backfield. I still haven't seen Mixon here, but Akers looks rejuvenated in a way you'd be surprised to see from a guy coming off of another injury for another year. Vikings didn't play starters yesterday. Jaren Hall looked okay, but probably nothing to read into here. Myles Gaskin is the RB3, I guess, is the only thing to read into, really. Ty Chandler, Aaron Jones sat in that game. On the Eagles side, Paris Campbell bumped down here to not with the starters. Pretty good reflection of where Jahan Dotson should be, so My thought has been Dotson stepping in right away to that starting wide receiver 3 role. Seems like it's going to be the case. Obviously, you still got to perform. Obviously, he's got to be better than Quez Watkins. Also, obviously, it's a different offense, different OC, completely different team overall there. So some of the stuff to keep in mind, but Dotson wasn't probably going to play in this no matter what. But Paris Campbell, the fact that he is playing means he's now not in the hunt with the starters at all. He's, in fact, probably playing for a roster spot with that Dotson trade. A little bit of a discount here on Zamir White again. Certainly we got, and I won't read this one, but that's just what he does. Brock Bowers for elite tight end wouldn't feel bad. Let's see if this corner has any interest in Zamir White. I'm going to go Brock Bowers here. Let's see what we get on the way back. And Zamir White does go. Obviously, at this point, being an 11-pick discount and Zamir White, just an appealing play. But I think we've got enough at RB right now. And Zamir White's one where I'm not going crazy about. Talk about Quez, the previous roll pop. I'm not talking about right now. Quez is also probably not going to be a Steeler for very long. We got Addison going here. Come on, guys. Oh, I love the clock timing here. All right, Jordan Love goes. We can do another Week 14 QB with Jaden. I mean, Jaden and AR, in terms of a total points league, I think would smash. The issue is that we do have to add on a third QB. We've got 20 rounds to do it, so taking Jaden Daniels as well. And AR, Jaden Daniels start. My 2 prized pigs, my 2 prized pupils. Probably nicer to call them pupils than pigs, though they haven't learned anything from me. My 2 boys here competing, 2 Week 14 buys, so we'll take another one at some point. We got 2 RBs, Devon Achane and Alvin Kamara. Huge discount on Kamara, a little bit of a discount on Achane. Amon-Ra, DK Metcalf, McLaurin Cooper feel good about that 4-receiver base. And Brock Bowers is our elite tight end proxy. I like to start for the team. All right. Other news items here. Nothing really for the Eagles game. Chargers, Brendan Rice played in this one. Star players didn't play in this one. So I think my instinct last week that they were starting Brendan Rice to get a look at him over DJ Chark is still how I feel about it. If I had to guess, Rice is more wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5. With Fehoko putting up the good game, I think Fehoko maybe puts a ding in that, though they did, I don't know, it's different usage, but they used him out of the slot a little bit more last year. I think Brendan Rice, though, again, people really want to flock to him. I don't know what you saw yesterday. I mean, he had a 40% target per out run, I guess, be the thing to look at for him. But Brendan Rice, to me, hasn't showed me enough. And I'm somebody that was really deep in the bag for him based off the numbers he put up at USC. Thought he was talented. He then goes round 7. We then are in the spot for a team that we don't expect to pass at a pretty high success rate. And now you're also just like trying to wish cast it a little bit based off of one game where they didn't really put vets to the test very much. So for Brendan Rice, I would just be leery of him, even though I think he is talented. It's still an ugly team situation. It's still a situation where I don't think he's guaranteed to be starting, but he could be starting. So that's sort of where we're going. On the Dallas side, nobody of no, actually, no, for the running backs for the Chargers. So in this game, Kamani Vidal didn't go. I didn't see confirmation that he sat because he has a guaranteed role or that he might be injured again. So that's an important point of clarity that I've not seen clarified yet. But Kamani Vidal not going yesterday, basically the fact if he had gone, he wasn't going to be with the starters. So that would have been bad for him. But he didn't go. My gut would be that Vidal didn't go because they saw enough last game and he's made the team and they did draft him and they do seem to like him. And Spiller and Patterson haven't done enough to like ice him, I guess would be the way to do it. But I think from this game, if I had to guess, Spiller still has the cut. Patterson makes the team. And then Vidal is probably safe now, but I don't have like 100% confidence in that one. All right, coming up here, we got a couple picks that we could make. We got RB here with Rico, would not feel too bad, or Gus. Brandon Cooks, Dontavian Wicks, a receiver, would not feel awful, though I would probably favor Cooks. Cooks is a wide receiver 2. Wicks is a wide receiver 5, or wide receiver 4, rather. Cooks could fall all the way back around here, though. But I'm going to go Brandon Cooks. We need the wide receiver 5 at this point. Got Taysom Hill at 118. I like his usage. That is a really lofty price for Taysom Hill. Taysom is better priced. That Hawkinson range again. Cooks shouldn't feel awful. He's a wide receiver too. That's what I just said. I think they're going to keep Dobbins, Edwards, Vidal, Patterson would be my guess. Let's make the second pick, and we'll try to get through the rest of the games here. Going game by games a little bit much. All right, we got Gus coming back here. Don't mind that. Eckler does correlate with our bet on Jaden. This is a tough one for me. I think that Gus gives you more touchdown upside. Eckler more PPR upside overall. And Lockett would just be a good wide receiver 6 at this point as well. I'm going to go Gus. I'll take the touchdowns here. Eckler, a perfectly fine pick, though. I don't want that to be an indoctrination on Eckler. I just think we could get more touchdown upside with Gus. Really isn't a late season guy I'd want to take because Corum is not my ideal late season guy with the Chanok Kamara start. So we're feeling okay about this one. Let's give the team a read. We'll get back to the preseason recaps. We got AR, Jaden Daniels, Devon Achane, Alvin Kamara, Gus Edwards, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, and Brock Bowers. One of the Chargers beats left Rice off the roster, but others have him on it, probably sitting at wide receiver 6, 7-ish. I think he probably wouldn't make the practice squad, I would think. I don't think he'd make it through waivers. So they're in a weird spot with him. But he hasn't done enough in the preseason where I think teams are going to be flocking to get him if they did put him on waivers. So could go either way. For the Cowboys side, nothing to note here besides them playing a lot of the tight ends, the backup tight ends. Hendershot, Brevin Spanford, Luke Schoonmaker. Hendershot seems like tight end 2 based on the usage. Ryan Flournoy had a decent game, but 25 routes run with the first team, only 3 targets. So not a high target guy. Didn't show off in that way. Game overall is pretty bad. Trey Lance, what to make of Trey Lance's game? The one electric run, 5 picks in the game as well. Most of them coming late, though. He was okay in the beginning of the game, and then it kind of fell apart late against the lowest team, which is odd to see. Trey Lance clearly not ready for prime time, though, but you got a glimpse of what made him such a compelling draft kick. I mean, I was on 25% of him 2 years ago. Obviously, then in a poor after week 1 when he got hurt in the rain. But Trey Lance, you're seeing what it is there. It's just the passing has not evolved very well. Granted, he's competing with backups against backups. It got really bad lower on the team, so that's how it goes. Lance is back. Yeah. Trey Fields is more like it. Honestly, a lot of the clamoring on social media happens every time. Play him at tight end. Trey Lance, you honestly could make a case. Maybe you should be playing him Taysom Hill style a little bit more. Nothing else here. Rico Dowdle sat. CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin, Jalen Brooks, and Jake Ferguson sat. So that's probably your top grouping there. Cooks playing behind Lamb, Tolbert playing behind him, Turpin in the mix, Jalen Brooks probably rotating behind those guys with a faint chance of taking Tolbert's role as the year goes on potentially. All right. Giants, nothing to note here besides Allen Robinson playing with the scrubs. Tommy DeVito started in this game, basically played the entire game for the Giants. Didn't look very good in it. It wasn't an enjoyable watch. I guess it was the main things. Malachi Corley, pretty buried on the depth chart at this point. No, people have liked him throughout the course of the year. I've been off them once he was playing behind Lazard in camp. He plays in this game. Guys like Lazard do not. Guys like Gibson do not, though I think he might still be banged up. Just take a quick look. I know it picks up here. Yeah, Gibson was just rested. So Gibson should be ahead of him. Lazard should be ahead of him. Williams, Garrett Wilson, obviously, all ahead of him. Jared Goff came back all the way to 143. I think we can afford this luxury, honestly. I'm going to do it. A little more loaded at QB than I'd like to go. Going to have to make it up at receiver. We're doing okay here, though. Anything else for the Jets side? Izzy Abanikanda started the game. We didn't see Braylon Allen, didn't see Isaiah Davis. So those guys are probably safely ahead in the depth chart. Izzy playing for a roster role. Main things to read into there. What other games did we have? Oh, the Browns game. That's right. So Cedric Tillman played a lot in this one. Cedric Tillman is supposed to be with the starters, but he played a lot in this game. 3 targets on 12 routes run. So that looked pretty good. Tillman was a guy they were going to the most overall. Elijah Moore was down to the depth chart, so you shouldn't have been taking him at any point, but now he's really down. I guess for me with Tillman, not being guaranteed the starting role, not being treated like a starter and sitting in this game, a little bit of cause for concern. Seems like a functional part of the offense. If I had to guess, he's mostly contingent value for Amari Cooper. And Jerry Jeudy's kind of iced what his role could have been with Jeudy coming back and being healthy. But it's nothing here that I feel unflinchingly confident about with that spot. Freiermuth coming down all the way based off the bad usage yesterday. I think he'd be a viable pick to scoop. You have to make it up a little bit more at RB, but being done at tight end would not feel bad. So Freiermuth, come on down here. You are a pick at another huge value. Really, I will say for drafters, you don't usually get value like I'm getting this room, but I've had 3 or 4 picks at a 10 plus pick ADP discount. They're not guys. I mean, Freiermuth, there's a reason to point to and go like, oh yeah, he was barely playing amidst these other guys, the other tight ends that are in the mix. I think Darnell Washington actually led the tight ends and snaps with the first group yesterday. But we've had enough signal from Freiermuth throughout the summer, him being Russell Wilson's go-to blankie. I'm not too worried about it, despite, again, the 100% target route run rate for George Pickens yesterday. So I'll take Freiermuth here. Going back to the Browns game, though, so Tillman, Moore, Jamari Thrash was the group. Jordan Akins at tight end behind them. Deonta Foreman played behind Jerome Ford here. Again, my guess is that Jerome Ford only played because Pierre Strong is banged up. Probably would have been a Pierre Strong start. Otherwise, Ford didn't do a whole lot out there. Really, I think they're just trying to keep him safe. And he was mostly a body filling in. The Seattle side is interesting. So Tyler Lockett didn't go. Geno started. The RBs didn't go. Kenny McIntosh did. Kenny McIntosh, Benny here saying, he had a great TD run. I thought Kenny McIntosh had the TD run of the day. It wasn't all him. It was just mostly well blocked. Really is one of those things that gave me a pretty big cosign for what Kenneth Walker is going to be in that offense. To a lesser extent when Charbonnet is going to be in that offense. But McIntosh might have played well enough this preseason to earn himself a role. Something to watch out for there. I like McIntosh a little bit coming out of Georgia as a prospect. He didn't get the draft capital. He's a little bit old. Those are the things. But he's acquitted himself well whenever he's had time on the field. And I think I like Charbonnet. He might be a better player than Charbonnet in some respects. So for Kenny McIntosh, I think he's really been a player that has done well in the given him opportunity, and I think we saw that really come to light yesterday. Metcalf, the big touchdown, I thought looked good. Both Metcalf and JSN had 2 targets on 5 routes run, so 40% TPRRs for them. That would look good. Tight end, they didn't have the starters going. They had Brady Russell. Well, actually, no, that's weird. Noah Fant was out there at some point, wasn't he? No, Noah Fant didn't play. Okay, they're both dealing with foot injuries. Must have been the other Fant that was on the roster because I thought I saw Fant on the field at some point, but they have an O-lineman named Fant. The Seahawks yesterday, think it's a Noah Fant team, I guess, if he's getting this usage, but tight end was not a big part of what they did yesterday, so really hard to get a read for Fant's opportunity overall. Pass game looked good, though, and McIntosh I thought was the biggest takeaway for me besides just the pass game looking exactly like I would have hoped it would. So there we go. And there's your news, guys. 30 minutes of it, as Robert Griffin III points out, a 30-minute news cream pie. We got it all done. Loved Kenny, but kind of buried. I wouldn't say fully buried with how he's played. Is McIntosh the best player that's named after a type of apple between him and Eli Apple? I don't think there's a Granny Smith out there, so probably. Les Smith you can use as the name. With this team, I think we actually can't afford Nick Chubb at 165, so we're going to do that. We're going to keep taking just the value this room has given us. Not enough volume at receiver, I will admit that, but I'm confident in my ability to get receiver late in full-point PPR. Like Corm hasn't played with the starters yet. None of the starters have played. I'm aware. That's the thing the Rams do. They don't play important players. Unfortunately, no football player named Honeycrisp either. So that's how you go. A Chubby at 165, yes. And also, I'm burying it a half hour in. Today is the day, guys. We're going to spark up on stream because I slept in today. So the wife today had a busy weekend of shit with my wife and Luca. They're going to her friend's beach house, her friend's family's beach house, to hang out today. So they left at like 8 a.m. So I just slept in today, saw them before they left, then went back to bed for a little bit. Basically got into bed at 10:30. So I'm harried here starting the day. Just trying to catch up on rest. It has not been a well-rested period for me. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I didn't get a chance to smoke before the stream. So today we're going to do it on the stream here coming up. We're just saying the name Cortland Sutton. Is that an apple? Need a receiver here. Pop Douglas starting slot for New England. I can live with it. I think. At this point, there's really nothing else to go and get. I could get Marshawn. Let's be done in RB with Marshawn. Marshawn, RB5. There's a lot of late guys I can get a receiver, and I think I'm just going to grab them instead. Obviously, we got some late guys for Washington, late guy for Detroit, potentially, late guys for Indianapolis at receiver. So let's do that next. Got to figure out how to prioritize these guys. That's going to be the tough part for me to figure out here. Let's give the team a read. We got AR, Jaden Daniels, both week 14 buys. So we got Jared Goff at a huge discount to fill in for when those guys are going to be out. We got Devon Achane, Alvin Kamara, Gus Edwards, Nick Chubb, Marshawn Lloyd. Again, this kind of team where you have some guys guaranteed early roles, you could withstand Nick Chubb there. If you had to start where it's like Jonathan Brooks, Jalen Warren, maybe you don't want Nick Chubb on that build because they're not going to necessarily have that early production, either because of, being slow to start because of injury, being a young guy, those kind of things here. This team can withstand it. And we have Marshawn Lloyd here. Again, just going to keep taking them cheaply whenever I can. Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks. A little bit thinner at receiver, but we have stack partners coming up late for all these guys. So that's where I'm going to try to push that. And a tight end, Brock Bowers and Pat Freiermuth. So I think it's a unique structure for me here because I did not prioritize receiver as much as I usually do, but we got good guys early. We got pretty big values on guys like Amari Cooper here. So we're a little bit stronger than the average team would be, where Cooper would normally be a wide receiver 3. Here's our wide receiver 4. And that's with having Achane as well. So I like this build. I do not watch much Chase Daniels content. Now, I watched his Jaden Daniels video just out of curiosity. That's it. Golden Tate Delicious. There you go. Devontae Granny Smith. Yeah, probably not. He's too fast to be a granny. Though Grandma Ma worked out well for Larry Johnson. Anyway, it's time to hit this, guys. First of all, before I start changing my vibes here on stream, drafters.com, promo code SPLASH. Get that out of the way here. So the Drafters tournament is filling. I think Tom Strachan had a big tweet that I saw on my For You page this morning, speculating that with the Drafters fill rate being what it's been yesterday, might get closer to an 80% fill. If it's an 80% fill, we're talking about 350 grand in overlay going into the Drafters tournament. But there is going to be overlay no matter what. It'd be impossible for them to fill it at this point. So drafters.com, promo code SPLASH, $100 deposit match. And I do like to give the shout out to the folks who used the promo code yesterday because, it seems nice to do. We're on the clock. Let's make our pick, and then we'll do that. All right, LMC's here. We're going to go his way. Luke McCaffrey at this point. It's going to be a stronger play in the 180s. Of course, correlates with Jaden. But shout out to Hohan's son, player 4949, draft a clock, let mama cook. All you guys deposited after yesterday's stream, and I appreciate you for it. And you too can get a shout out on the stream if you use that promo code SPLASH at drafters.com right now. We'll make one more pick here. But again, looking very likely, 350K, 400K overlay. I would say 350, I can almost guarantee you will be in the tournament. 400K, though, still in play. And frankly, 500K still in play. Like, the weekend's always going to fill more than it is going to fill during the week. QB school guy, JT O'Sullivan. He does a good work. I like his videos. I think he does a good job. Some of those, though, I don't really care about as much in the preseason. I want them to answer things for me in season more so. Like Jordan Love's pressure stuff. Big part how I got there was looking at the data, then having JT O'Sullivan talk about it. Third tight end, I think, is not the move here. I think going up and getting Diami Brown is the move. We are a late round Luke McCaffrey, Diami Brown household. And now we are also going to be a household that reads our team out loud. We have AR, Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, Devon Achane, Alvin Kamara, Gus Edwards, Nick Chubb, Marshawn Lloyd. So RB room is done to me. Wide receiver, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, and correlation here for Jaden. We have Luke McCaffrey and Diami Brown coming. Got Brock Bowers and Pat Freiermuth closing out the tight end room. I like this team. I think this team is a different pathway to get there. I think we're taking advantage of guys that we know a little bit more news about, so I'm feeling okay about that. I am not maxing drafters, just putting whatever entries I'm putting on stream. Crazy that it just said 50% filling this contest the other day. Yeah, I mean, look, it's. I've been telling you guys, and they told me themselves that they expected 75 to 80% as the max. So that was their internal projection. So probably going to be, and that's projection's probably a little bit aggressive. Galaxy Brain Kmart. I have no idea who you're talking about. You can't make up nicknames for guys that expect me to know them. But That's a name. That's a store brand. Anyway, Sunday. Let's go, guys. Oh, yeah. We're doing it big today. No guidelines here on usage for drafters. Last year, I had to do this to get through the awfulness of DraftKings streams. Today, it's pure luxury. I have no childcare to do today. Don't really have any work to do today. I'm just going to watch AEW All In, watch whatever football's on. Here we go. Oh, I love that. This is like me being an 80s comic. I'm out on the stage in front of a brick wall smoking a cigarette. It's a funny cigarette. Still a cigarette. Why would he be Kmart? His name is Adrian. A-Mart. A-Mart. Not Kmart. You can't make up a nickname and have the nickname also not be the guy's name. If you like. No, not a pick. Not a pick. Jordan Martinez ran. He did what he did in the UFL. He scrambles around and throws poorly. That's what Adrian Martinez does. Kmart. Fucking no, he still wouldn't be Kmart. His name's an A. A-Mart. A-Mart. I'm gonna go on some religious rants like Carlin too. Here's the thing: there's no God when people are calling fucking people. His name is Adrian Kmart. Unbelievable. We're on the clock here, though. The room's getting smoky. We're hotboxing the room. Only on drafters will they allow me to do. I'm sure Underdog wouldn't care, but you know, only on drafters. All right. Raymond. We're going and getting the boys. We're getting late stack partners that are a little bit hard to cram in an Underdog sometimes. In a 20-round draft, though, we could add Jared Goff with Khalif Raymond on here and feel pretty good about it. And yeah, if you're guessing that I'm going to take a late Colt here, you're going to be right about that as well. Who the fuck are you talking about? Who's J-Mac? Stop. I don't know these people. Leave me alone. Fuck. J-Mac. You fucking A-Mart and J-Mac. All right, Alec Pierce here. Got another piece of correlation. Just late correlated wide receivers is what I was thinking of the entire time. Because these guys are available late, they make more sense for our bet. Allows us to kind of pan for gold amidst the late picks a little bit more because we have direction because we have these QBs up top. So the team so far, it's a loaded one. God, I think we're already unlit. All right, we're fine. We got AR, Jaden, fucking J-Mac, unbelievable. We got AR, Jaden Daniels, Jared Goff, Devon Achane, Alvin Kamara, Gus Edwards, Nick Chubb, and Marshawn Lloyd. At receiver, we have Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, Luke McCaffrey, Diami Brown, Khalif Raymond, and Alec Pierce. So all correlated bets late with a base that I feel pretty good about and have some correlated bets with early. And we have Brock Bowers and Pat Freiermuth. What about the A-Train? I don't know about the A-Train. The A-Train from The Boys. I like that he's doing good guy stuff. He's very fast. He would kill it at the combine. I don't know any other A-Trains. Anthony Thomas, retired Anthony Thomas. He's still in the player pool. J-Mac is Khalil Mack's nickname. At this rate, if fucking Kmart is Adrian Martinez's nickname. And we got a second draft coming up, guys. Of course, a giveaway of a Drafters Million ticket coming up. And I'll light the joint in between drafts. I'll chill for a little bit here. I've gotten what I needed out of that experience. Draft T-Mac. Who's T-Mac? Terry McLaurin. I think I drafted T-Mac already. Is Anthony Thomas still alive? I hope so. I know one of them is. Maybe not the Bears one. Anthony Thomas is probably still alive. A wave? Oh, man, just please. If you're going to give me, like, the game should be you give me bullshit nicknames, but they're ones that I can actually guess where you're like D-Fountain or like the Waterman for Doris Fountain. Like, that should be the game. Maybe I should just do that part. Okay. My next pick is going to be... It's a tough one because I don't really know who the next pick should be. Oh, my next pick's going to be the Wizard of Oz is who I'm going to pick next. Who am I picking, guys? It's the Wizard of Oz, an undrafted guy in round 20 who correlates with my team. Who's it going to be? This is a good one. This one too, I mean, they don't call him the Wizard of Oz, but they call him Oz. I figured as much, Matt Sox. I figured as much. Nope, it is not Carson Steele. The Wizard of Oz coming up here, a.k.a. a man they call OZ. Oh, he got drafted? Somebody took Olavide Zaccheaus? In what world? In the 19th? Never mind, I can't take the Wizard of Oz. All right, fuck, you guys win. I'll take Carson Steele if he's available. No, he just went the pick before me. Holy shit, take everybody, why don't you guys? Domestic violence, Zay Jones, we can't take him. All right, Van Jefferson, come on down. You're the wide receiver too. Final team here, final version of this team, then we'll do one more draft. We got AR, Jaden, Jared Goff as our QBs, Devon Achane, Alvin Kamara, Gus Edwards, Nick Chubb as our RB room. At receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, Luke McCaffrey, Diami Brown, Khalif Raymond, Alec Pierce, and Van Wilder, Van Jefferson, because we couldn't get the Wizard of Oz, Olamide Zaccheaus. Instead, we took Van Jefferson, who is Van Wilder, and we took Brock Bowers and Pat Freiermuth. Honestly, this team came out a little bit better than I thought it would. Obviously, correlation-wise, I think we got a lot going late. Got big values. I'm happy with it. Gonna enter another draft room here. Of course, same thing. $15 entry fee, $500K to first place. Right now, the fill rate's at about a little bit more than 50%, so keep that in mind. It's going up, but not going up enough to fill would be my guess here by a wide margin. We got 6 more spots, and you guys know I don't have to do work until the draft starts. I just have to watch this room fill, like watching the paint dry. Okay, that filled incredibly fast. My reach has grown. You guys, I know you guys always want to draft with me, but your enthusiasm and my reach have both grown equally. Guys, if you're watching live, please subscribe down below. Hit the like button, leave a comment. Your engagements go a long way for me as I'm balancing, I think, doing the best balancing act, talking about news, talking about real stuff. And now I just get to fun around and gamble here while smoking some weed. So, hey, we're doing what we got to do here on Drafters. It's a legal state, medicinally. We're good. Oh, yeah. We're curbing anxiety here, guys. Curb your enthusiasm, curb your anxiety. 4. Mo was dying to get in earlier. He said 5. There you go. Shouts to all you guys made it in the room. Hopefully, if you're in the room, you used my promo code. If you didn't, how dare you? That was a big hit. Had to do a cough mute there. Promo code SPLASH on draft. I feel some mucus come. We're doing great. Promo code SPLASH on Drafters right now. Do it. Again, $100 deposit match on there. Great deal to hop in and give yourself a shot at this $100,000 worth of overlay. Legit. We're talking $400K in overlay, potentially in the Drafters Million, which is a $50 entry fee, $500K to first place. Total points, so you don't have to deal with the pods, the luck component of pods and playoff pods. And of course, full point PPR. It's a little bit different here. And you can bail your teams out a little bit more because of the full point PPR. There's one thing that's really an important thing to keep in mind. These 20-round drafts, whether they be Drafters or DraftKings, both full point PPR sites. A little bit easier if you're one of those people that likes to take RB early. Still want to get your early wide receiver capital, but like you could dance around receiver a little bit more as I just did in that last draft. Any NASCAR love? I like NASCAR conceptually to gamble on, but I don't do it. Did see somebody won the NASCAR Cup yesterday. I did see that. Spags a golf guy. Spags has played golf in the past, but is not currently doing so. My bankroll, again, as I've talked about, we've been trying to deal with getting through probably's bills. At this point, we're either going to get through it or we're not going to. They've had some good signs of life here. Some people reaching out after I put it out on LinkedIn. So we'll see how it goes. But my bandwidth, all my money is going to best ball right now. And then hopefully I'll have enough to get into NFL DFS. But when you haven't made income besides your YouTube streams in a year, it's a little bit tough to do that. And frankly, I had to use my gambling bankroll. So I can't even make money off of DFS right now like I used to in NBA because I had to put the money towards paying our monthly bills for probably. So that's been my struggle for the year. That's why we have to curb our anxiety on stream. I should make this pick before I light this back up. I'll make 2 picks before I light it back up. I keep losing the flame. So we're okay. He actually didn't get to see the zebras yesterday. So he only got to see the rhinos took over the zebra room. So sad to see it. But it didn't bother him that much. He apparently wasn't that in the zoo, more into the aquarium. So that's how that looks. I don't take much Garrett Wilson. I don't enjoy it. I don't really like him. So I'm not going to take him. I'm going to do Puka Nacua again for the 100th time. At this point, I can take more Garrett Wilson and be okay with it. I'm just so, I'm done with the Jets bet. I've never been in on the Jets bet, but now the Jets bet's getting more expensive. Breece Hall's coming up. I just don't know what more signal we need for these guys not being priced correctly. When you add Mike Williams, you add in another RB and Braylon out is going to take some work away. You do have Aaron Rodgers there, is going to theoretically increase the pass volume a little bit more. They did pass a lot in the red zone last year under Nathaniel Hackett, but it's still a team that's going to win by defense. And I think that's ultimately the thing that I will die on the hill of for this team. So I could take Garrett Wilson, though, and live with it. Because, if you're taking a player, you're just making the bet for that one draft. But at this point, fuck it. I'm just out on the Jets. I don't want to get there. A Puka Nacua, Drake London start wouldn't feel bad. Puka and Debo, I feel like would also be okay. I think at full point PPR, I do like the Drake London type a little bit more. Puka has the same competition he had last year. Again, the key thing to keep in mind, what's different from the year, the last year, the last thing that we know? Is it new coaches? Is it new offense? Is it new players around you? For the Jets, they added Mike Williams, who's, I know, an older player, but that's a guy that does matter. You're going to have better results from Allen Lazard this year because he's going to have his boy Aaron Rodgers back. You're also going to maybe at some point have Malachi Corley rotating in. They have enough guys there who can take some work away. But really, the Mike Williams part, it's signaled just to get work away from him. They also almost took Brock Bowers at pick 10. They want to target Garrett Wilson a little bit less. So the guy had whatever situation he had last year. He was still a negative EPA receiver, which is hard to do when you're an elite receiver. The targets were about as high as they're going to be. I don't think they're going to get higher this year. You might pick up some more touchdown equity. But if you pick some more touchdown equity, then Breece Hall at pick 6 also doesn't make sense. So the tapestry that is the Jets offense ADP-wise, it makes no sense. It's like a worse version of KC's, where KC, for all those guys to hit, the Chiefs have to be a totally different offense. And if you want to make that bet, you can. It's still the same OC there, still the same situation, much like it is for the Jets. But for the Jets, it's a team that we saw last year, with dog shit QB play. Okay, they have better QB play. It's not going to increase pass rate that much. It's not going to increase, last time we saw Aaron Rodgers, he might not even be a substantially better QB overall than some of those guys. Like Tim Boyle, we think sucks, but Aaron Rodgers wasn't worlds better when he last played for the Packers. So to me, those are the things. If you're buying in on a leap, it should be priced in that you're buying in on a leap. For the Falcons, they come a little bit cheaper. So you're buying in on their leap, but I'd rather make the Rams offense leap as opposed to the Jets one, which is just they're getting the 42-year-old guy back coming off an Achilles injury. It's already been an acrimonious offseason for him. I don't know. I'm down to the Jets. It's fundamentally it. You can make whatever bets you want. You can disagree. Maybe I need to smoke more weed to make me not go off on the Jets like this. But the Jets are just one of those things where I just don't think the market pricing has ever made sense for them. Signal again for Breece Hall too. I think Breece is tremendously talented. I don't want to miss out on the talent. But when you have a team that's added legit 5 RBs over the course of the last season and change, that's signal that they don't want to give Breece Hall that much work. And the way that Breece Hall got there down the home stretch, it wasn't even the luck box 60-yard TDs, luck box combined with talent. 60-yard TDs. It was him getting PPR scammed and getting 10 targets a game. So if there's more weapons and Garrett Wilson is better, Breece Hall's not going to get that 10 targets. It just all doesn't make sense. I feel like I'm getting conspiratorial about it. It's it doesn't functionally make sense if you unwrap it a little bit. I think even projection people would have a hard time projecting these guys to pay off at their ADPs, but whatever. Anyway, I've got things to rant about. I always do. Unfortunately, one joint. I didn't bring 2 like I do for beers. Though maybe for the best for me, because I can already feel my mouth. we're getting cottony. But we got a team so far. Puka Nacua, Drake London, Stephon Diggs, all guys that I like this year. All guys in offenses that are going to pass a lot and don't have a great defense to rely on. Legit. The Houston one should be better this year. Houston was okay last year. Should be getting closer to a full overhaul, Niner style of that defense. Travis Kelce coming back. I don't take him a lot, mostly because KC, I think concerns about them adding a lot of weapons there and wanting to ramp him down. But this kind of build feels okay for Kelsey. At a discount. ATN wouldn't feel bad either. But yeah, let's go 4th round Kelsey. The old price tag. We're back on it. Love the fired up Spags. Good points on the Jets. I mean, it's just certain things here. And that's one like I really struggled with because like I know I'm going against the markets totally. Like I fully know I'm going against, but it's just like if you really look at what the markets are doing with those guys, like it just doesn't make sense. Especially compared to like if you take Brees, you take Garrett Wilson, you're missing out. Like I can go guy by guy. For Tyreek Hill, you're talking about a guy who got a 38% target per out run or 38% intended touch rate. So when he was on the field getting a snap, they tried to give him the ball 38% of the time, whether it was a rush or a target. Like that's a lot. So you have that guy here, even though those numbers should come down because they also, like the Jets, added some offensive weapons. You have a leap coming for Devon Achane. Theoretically, they pay Waddle. They got to get him more involved. So it's hard for Tyreek to have like this historic target rate, but he did have historic target touch rate. So that's something. McCaffrey, the lead guy in the best offense. Like that's the case there. CeeDee Lamb, the Cowboys in the back half of last year, passing higher than any team in the league. CeeDee Lamb's the benefit of that because they don't have guys in the pass game. They, unlike the Jets, didn't add shit in the pass game. They lost guys in the pass game. So that's where CeeDee Lamb looks good and should be better. Jamar Chase, I'm down on Chase. I think the hold-in's not great. I think the Bengals situation overall is not great with them not paying key guys besides Joe Burrow. But he's incredibly talented. We know he's a star athlete. The Cincinnati offense is also priced like they should all be good. That's your Chase argument. Amon-Ra, Detroit, going to be a top team, a team that we also know feeds him as wide receiver 1. They lost Josh Reynolds. And if you're not a Jameson Williams believer, that target share is going to probably help out Amon-Ra even more. There's the case for him. Breece Hall, it's like he's super talented. You got a lot of targets last year in an offense that completely deprecated and depreciated into like nothingness down the home stretch. But the case, like he's really talented and maybe the Jets, the case I think for him is like Jets defense really good. Breece Hall salting games away a lot. That's one I could see. Then you look at the signal for them loving Braylon Allen, bringing in Isaiah Davis again, trying Tariq Cohen, wanting Izzy Abanikanda to be a thing previously. They don't want to give Breece 30 touches. They want to give him 15 to 20 really good ones, I think. It's not a 6th round pick. Jefferson, Darnold's a pro QB, buying more in the O'Connell offense. That's the part there for me. And again, no Hockenson for likely half the year. That helps him out to get where he needs to go. Bijan, new offense. Some concerning stuff maybe about Algier usage lately. But that's there. AJ Brown, and again, Bijan Robinson being CMC. That's the hope. So you still have that part of it. AJ Brown, you have a Kellen Moore offense, him being some combination of how great Keenan Allen and Mike Williams were last year while the team was still going full go. So the point being is like there's cases for all those guys. I don't think there is as many cases for some of the other ones on the Jets. I could keep going player by player to make my point, I guess. We got Calvin Ridley here, Cook. Ridley, I think we'd use receiver. Though Cook, I don't mind. But let's see what these guys do. Got to think this guy will take Cook. He needs an RB. Yeah, well, we'll see. Is this an objectivity? Because like I am in the bag against the Jets, but if I could see a case for the Jets, I would like the Jets. I really try to see the reasons for most teams. Sometimes they end the price lock on stuff. Like last year, I was out on the Bucks. Even though I like Dave Canales, I just couldn't get there mentally with the Bucks. That was wrong. So like, I'm not always right about the stuff, but it's just one that I have a really hard time with. Odunze here, a little bit of a discount. He's okay. I feel like I've had a little bit of a blind spot to him lately. Mixon, whenever I have the Houston bet going, I love Mixon in the total points bet. I'm going to go Houston. And I'm going to go Houston again, rather, and Joe Mixon. Good point as well to take with Jefferson, Spags, considering Addison injury and suspension. Yeah, so like, again, just big target here to go there. Darnold, it's just QB for the Vikings just has to be a willing passer who can be a vessel for that offense. And that's why Nick Mullins worked last year. And so why Jefferson with Nick Mullins worked last year. Nick Mullins isn't actually good. He's just a guy that drops back a lot and is willing to pass and can pass with this much efficacy. And, and I think Darnold, if he ever hit his apex, his efficacy, like his success should be like here. So we're not talking elite level. Like at this point, I don't think he could be even Matthew Stafford, let alone like Mahomes, but he could be Baker getting this resurgence. Like I don't know. We've seen it happen with smart coaching. So that's like the case for Jefferson. But again, for Wilson, it's like, okay, so he makes a leap. He in an offense that should have targets be less concentrated his way. And I think people are just like, oh, Devontae Adams was great with but it's like it's all different situations. You didn't have superstar RB there like Breece Hall. You didn't have competent tight ends that Aaron Rodgers is going to love to target all the time, at least. And Rodgers does love targeting tight ends historically as well. The past is the past. I mean, look, he showed it with Christian Watson the last time he was a full-time QB, if you want to make the case. But I think if you're getting Christian Watson's year at that point at where Garrett Wilson's going, I don't think you're happy with it. But the one thing that has stood out for me every year, and again, people will go like, oh, offensive environment, whatever. Like Garrett Wilson's been a negative EPA receiver every year in the league. And I know my data points, like the stuff that I compile myself, my Spags score, which is like basically an amalgam of expected points added with your target share, with your red zone share, how many deep balls you get if you're a receiver. Like Garrett Wilson is like 25th or something at receiver for me. And everybody else in that top 20 range is like, they all are up there. And then Garrett Wilson's so low. I just don't think he's that guy. But we'll find out this year. Like it's the bet. If you want to fade me most directly, don't take Jaden Daniels, don't take Commanders, and then also go heavy on Jets. So you feel like I'm just a buffoon here, smoking joints, not knowing ball, even though I hold the football and I don't drop it. But if you think I'm just a fucking buffoon, then play Jets out your ass. Take Wilson every time in that corner. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. But we'll find out. Let's look at some numbers for Garrett Wilson. All right, so Garrett Wilson last year, negative 0.15 EPA per target. So objectively not that great. 26% target per out run rate is among the pretty good. Elite guys would be about 30%. For comparison's sake, Rashee Rice at 28%. So he got it targeted pretty well per route, but wasn't like crazy there. Downfield, Garrett Wilson, negative 0.2 EPA downfield, 1.5 new targets a game. So the usage was good, but only caught 27% of them. You can make the case that's on the QB. But players make plays. This is always what I would say too. Stroud coming back here. I could push him around the bend, but I don't know these guys. I mean, one of them's in chat, but I don't trust them like that. It's going to take Stroud at 82. Another Houston double here. Feeling okay. I mean, think you're a buffoon, but not when it comes to basketball. Yeah, about creating startups and making them profitable. That's, at least on my second go around. First time I did well with guys, and this time going around probably failing at it so far. Then yes, you call me a buffoon for that. But no, hopefully not for my football takes. My experience with Jet fans, just nod your head and move along. I guess, but it's not just Jets fans. It's like the markets. Markets love the Jets, and they love in particular Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. But I think you could look back, like if the Jets are 9-8 this year and they barely missed the playoffs and they have kind of the year that is in their range of outcomes, we can come back and go, why were there 2 Jets in the first round? And I think it would be a very logical question to ask, is the one thing I would say. All right, pick 87. Love the discount on Zamir White. He doesn't excite me too much. Ramondre here is okay. Jamison Williams, we don't really need. Well, we do need wide receiver 5. I like JMO. I have a hard time not taking JMO. Don't know if full point PPR is the spot to get more of him, but I still like him here. Let's give this team a read. Stop bashing Jets for a little bit. We got CJ Stroud, Joe Mixon, Puka Nacua, Drake London, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, Jamison Williams, Travis Kelce. So we got to 5 receivers in 100, which is generally your goal. With modern ADPs being where they are, you could say getting to 5 receivers in your first 7 rounds is like the more real goal. But at the very least, make sure to try to get to 5 in your top 100 picks if you can. And we have Travis Kelce as an elite tight end who I've not gotten a lot of. Week 5 buys, week 14 buys, some stuff to watch out for here. I think we're okay right now. Haven't really started to look at week 1 DFS yet. Honestly, I'd be talking out my ass for it. I think the price tag's okay from what I know of the salary, but there's a lot of guys who are pretty cheap this week, including Jaden Daniels is pretty cheap. But I think Minshew's probably the cash game play. Don't think you'd want to play him in tournaments. Not a Jets fan at all. Just believe in the players. That's fine. Look, you're not alone in it, Hartman. Like I'm not trying to put you on like a, to make you the one who's sacrificing in the name of it all. But your take, I think, is a very common take, and it's one to me that I just haven't been there with. I've had a hard time wrapping my head around. It's personally just how I feel. But stay tuned to the end of this one, guys. Of course, a giveaway of a $15 Drafters Million ticket at the end. Of course, 500K to first place in the Drafters Million. And right now, if you draft any teams this weekend, try to draft 6 of them because they're giving you a free ticket if you draft 6 teams. They also give you a free ticket if you draft 10 teams overall, 25 teams overall. I, in fact, just played with my free ticket on that last draft. So check it out, drafters.com, promo code SPLASH. And the overlay there is the big thing. Or very high likelihood of 400K in overlay, potentially 500K, also potentially 300K or so. But keep that in mind. You're talking about a few $100,000 in overlay, which is just extra money that the company is putting into the tournament because you didn't get enough entries in from actual people. So that just makes it more likely to win some money. You gave me the jumping off point, Hartman, and I appreciate you for it. And I also appreciate Phil Hartman. Thought he was a great character actor, great voice actor. Simpsons forever changed because of losing Phil Hartman. Psycho, you did some psycho shit in the 3-hole. Let's see, what did you do? Okay, Chunk, yeah, went for the rainbow here a little bit. The Skittles approach, going Saquon, Josh Allen, Dalton Kincaid. You're making an upper receiver. You got to 4 in your first 7 rounds, so you're okay. You're not, a little bit out of order there. You're doing okay. Not if MHJ or Drake are there. Yeah, look, I mean, I like both picks more than Garrett Wilson too. So that's basically it. Jets don't score enough points. That's where I would go with it. That's the luxury of having a great defense. I mean, that's also why the Chiefs last year, if they keep that great defense they had last year, that was a big part of why the Chiefs didn't press the ball into action too much. And that's why I think they probably won't press into action again too much this year too. But I don't need to give you both my Chiefs and Jets my hot takes on them too heavily in one day. We got Zach Moss coming back, Tyjae Spears coming back. Correlation-wise, we do have a little more of a bet on Tennessee than Cincinnati right now, so let's go Tyjae. I think if Chase Brown were there, I would have been tempted to take him over those guys, but he's not. Chase Brown went at 97 in this room. I think Drake London's would look pretty similar. But, again, for him, it's an entirely new offense. So you have to, keep it in mind. But again, so even in a bad Atlanta offense last year, Drake London, a 0.08 EPA. So we're talking about a 0.23 EPA per target swing between him and Garrett Wilson. A 0.08 EPA per target. 24% target per out run. So his target per out run rate is a little bit lower than Garrett Wilson. On deep plays, a 0.76 EPA, 1.1 deep targets a game. So a little bit less good of a target earner, but definitely more efficient by those metrics. And again, in a dog shit offense. So I just think Garrett Wilson gets a lot of cover for being in dog shit offenses. And that's, to me, one of those things that I just don't, I don't view the same way as the market. Slayton off to his home league draft. Good luck. Hope you beat up on the simple jacks in your league. We got Devin Singletary here. A little bit of a value on Curtis Samuel, but he has fallen precipitously with his turf toe. I think Singletary feels good here. Don't really feel pressed into action at QB yet. Singletary RB3. So it's a CJ Stroud, Joe Mixon, Tyjae Spears, Devin Singletary team here. Puka Nacua, Drake London, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley. Jamison Williams is the wide receiver room so far. Lead tight end with Travis Kelce. I'm feeling pretty good about this one. Yeah, Rodgers campaigning for Adams doesn't say much about Wilson. I don't think it's a reflection on Wilson necessarily, but it is also a thing that looms out there potentially. And if you are making week 17 bets, let's say the Jets, the Raiders tank, they trade Devontae at the trade deadline. Devontae goes to the Jets. Really bad outlook for the Jets and their projections in the back half of the year for that one. Spike week could still come, but it would be a bad outlay for Garrett Wilson too. Not part of why, I value Garrett Wilson more I do, but it's something. In theory, is overlay more valuable in total point style contests rather than pods because it's more directly tied to EV? That's a really good point. Me finishing top 110 last year on drafters, with only 9 entries, I would think is impossible to do in BBM. So yeah, I would say that being a better finish as a result. And honestly, even if you look at my finishes overall, like I finished top 200 in BBM 2 years ago. My best DK Millie finish is top 250. So if you were to account for the overlay, that would explain the difference of like why I would finish top 110 as opposed to top 250. Like the overlay alone would be that kind of vault. So yeah, it's a good point. Because really the only thing you get, like if there's overlay, which there will be in the Drafters Million, and the Drafters Million, all you get is extra entries in. Whereas in, like basically like they have a wild card round and all the teams that didn't finish first or second in their pods, but had enough points to qualify amidst that group, they then get in an entry into like to move into the playoffs. So you're just getting a playoff spot in terms of EV and other places overlay. But in drafters, you're getting, just X amounts of spots that you're going to move up higher. And of course, that's not perfect math, by the way. Me saying like I finished top 250 on DK and like finished top 110. Like obviously it's all randomness basically at that point, at that level of points. But, makes mental sense to me. Yeah, so you're saying we should draft. Is Daniel working here from drafters? But yeah, I would say the math would support when you have over like overlay like this in total points. Getting more teams in at drafters. And of course, if you haven't signed up, promo code SPLASH. It supports the show. I get an affiliate fee. Also supports you as well when you get $100 in deposit match. And a ton of free entries here. Again, if you draft 6 this weekend, you get 1 more free. Just keep that in mind. They keep this main contest at $15 next year. I think I'll get in more. I mean, doing it now would be the more logical thing is you just don't know if there's going to be overlay next year. They could shrink it. Like, if they don't get enough entries in, it's possible they would shrink the tournament and then you'd be in a different situation. Obviously, do what you got to do for your bankroll. But if you're going to get entries in, like, do it now. Don't go, I'll do it next year, because next year, the situation, they could get acquired by underdog. Got to chase EV when it's there. Later on doesn't do much for you. All that talk, and I could fade the Jets. I could fade Garrett Wilson and go Mike Williams' way. I think Darnell Mooney, makes sense here. Hopefully we don't get fucked at QB. But I think this is a move we got to make no matter what. Would like to get wide receiver 6 in. This guy's got 2 QBs. This guy's got none, but no, right? No Falcons. And he's in the chat, so hopefully he would not be dumb enough to take Kirk Cousins. Tend to think people in our community did not take an undrafted pocket QB. Trying to get to 50 on drafters. That's a good one. Look, you don't have to max it out. Like if maxing it out, obviously you're going to get the most EV. They also give you money back. If you max it out, they give you $100 in cash back. But it's hard to do that. And if you're trying to get all your stuff in across everything, it's even harder to do that. So do what you can do. I know one guy who signed up last weekend already was maxing it out in auto drafts because he just thought the EV was worth it. And Justin Herzig said the same thing as well. So there are sharp people out there who are definitely chasing maxing it out. And we safely got Kirk Cousins back. Team is popping. Need to make it up at RB a little bit more, but I like the base we have there. So we have a CJ Stroud, Kirk Cousins team, 2 pocket passers, but they're stacked up well for me. We have Joe Mixon. We have Tyjae Spears, Devin Singletary. We have Puka Nacua, Drake London, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, Jameson Williams, Darnell Mooney, and Travis Kelce. So an Atlanta double going with Cousins. And, wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. Stroud, we have theoretically the wide receiver 2/1B in Diggs. And we have Joe Mixon soaking up some rushing TDs. Nico's still my favorite Texans bet. Though at ADP, it might be Mixon overall. But, you don't get Nico. You can I think you make a Diggs bet and feel pretty good about it. You're not doing what? What are you, what are you not doing? Anyway, if you're enjoying the stream, guys, here, nice little Sunday doubleheader. Please do subscribe down below. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Your engagements go a long way for me because I'm just a sole proprietor here trying to show you my gambling, show you why I make the choices I do in drafts, and hopefully get some shit right. I mean, that's the joy here. Even the guys here that are down in EV are Marshans or Troy Franklin's. I mean, Troy Franklin, it's going to take a little bit for him to hit this year. Marshawn, though, I think the bet has not changed, even though it's gotten substantially cheaper. I'm from Houston and Diggs is the number 1. I don't know that you can just proclaim that because you're from Houston. The usage so far in the preseason has also favored Nico being the number 1, but Look, Diggs is right there. I think Diggs is right there with him. And unfortunately, people out there who have not budged Tank Dell's ADP, Tank Dell's probably the wide receiver 3. Like safely that in terms of usage. We'll take a puff here. I think we've earned it. I've done quality content today. Here's my treat. The bad boy of best ball can't be stopped. I enjoy hotboxing though. I gotta get this. My studio is definitely a good space for hotboxing. And drafting, you guys are doing it at home. I know how it goes. Sunday fun day. I'm excited. All in fun. I'm gonna have some all in fun today watching the AEW show. Excited for that. Stadium crowd in London. Wembley Stadium out there. Building a sick team. That's true. I am the B-Bob, the bad boy of best ball. That's honestly not the worst branding in the world. But calling yourself the B-Bob does sound pretty silly. This is a team that one hundo P, that's the cool stuff I say when I'm smoking a joint, that one hundo P could absorb TJ Hawkinson and feel okay about it. So we're going to do that. Kelsey and Hawkinson, both week 6 buys, so I have to take a third tight end. We're feeling good about it. All right. Save a little bit for the end of the stream here. Of course, giveaway coming up the end as well. 1 free entry coming today. Sunday afternoon pay-per-view is incredible. They should just do that in America too. Yeah, I mean, it's the only reason they're doing it is because of it starting, the normal time in the UK. But I like it. I mean, at least, during football season, you wouldn't want to do that. But in the summer, great idea. I think it works well when WWE does international shows too. I like Swerve a lot. I think Swerve has built a very nice little angle for himself, just, with how he's presented himself in AEW. I like him a lot in WWE. Wish he would have gotten the big push there as, somebody to get behind. By the way, Nick Chubb coming back. We're just going to fucking do that. I have good bases at these positions, so I can absorb the older injured guys, and they can help me out a good amount in total points later on. Get back to AEW in a minute, but got Stroud, Kirk Cousins, Joe Mixon, Tyjae Spears, Devin Singletary, Nick Chubb, Puka Nacua, Drake London, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, Jameson Williams, and Darnell Mooney. The tight end, Travis Kelce and Hawkinson. So because we have theoretically elite production at tight end and enough guys at RB, that's when you can take your swing on Chubb and Hawkinson and hope they hit. And in total points going into 150s, 160s, it's a palatable bet. I like Bucky Irving a lot. I like really nobody at tight end. I'm okay with Hunter Henry, but Hawkinson, the upside there is just much higher for the home stretch. So we'll do that. But yeah, I would say rooting for Danielson just because the story has to be him winning. I feel like it would be kind of weird if he just lost like that. But that's the one. And I'm sure the Osprey MJF match will be pretty fun too. The women's stuff, I feel like a little bit less hot right now, a little bit less good. Not hot in a sexy way, but less heat means less, engagement. The enthusiasm for the storyline would be the way to say that if you're not a wrestling fan. And I've been down on AEW lately. I think WWE's got the better product right now. But, these kind of shows, I feel like stadium crowds for anything always a good time. If AEW believes they're a 50-year company, I do. Having Danielson, their world title lineage is so important. Can't see him losing. That's also fair. That kind of shit doesn't matter too much. Guys like Rick Rude, Scott Hall never won a championship. You could be great, in a company and not win a championship. But, you want to give him one send-off, especially to honor his career. One of the most important guys in the business. I saw Bryan Danielson for the first time, I want to say early 2000s, because I used to go occasionally to the Ring of Honor shows. They're at New York's Hammerstein Theater, I think was that the one? Is the Hammerstein? No, it wasn't the Hammerstein. The Manhattan Center. That was it. Yeah, so would go there actually a good amount. So I saw them, saw a ladder match once with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens at that point. The Ring of Honor at that point was fun. And then they got the New Japan guys, and that was also pretty cool. I used to go to the stadium shows that they would have at the minor league stadium. Actually on video for a couple of those in the front row because it wasn't big crowds. We got picks coming up here. RB is just really getting thin here. Marshawn goes a little bit yikesy overall here at RB. But Tank Bigsby, I think, gives us a 5. I feel good about. him working his way up with first team usages last game, I think is a good sign. He's acquitted himself well. Tank Bigsby, come on down. Wish I was 12 again, reliving the Attitude Era. I mean, look, the wrestling and the storytelling is right now a lot better. Not quite as like crazy, like, you know, especially if you were a kid, like, seminal moments, seminal moments coming from that time, I think is entirely plausible. I remember seeing boobs for like, maybe not the first time. One of the most important times, like when Sable and whatever, when Miss Jackie were doing like bikini contests. There's certainly different vibes, but in terms of the storytelling right now, WWE is like as close as it can be to Hollywood level storytelling. The Bloodline stuff's been pretty great, I think. And the Judgment Day, like on both shows, they've had like this, you know, the central character group breaking up thing. It has been an awful lot of Chubb this morning, but that's, that's weekend mornings. Hopefully you have somebody's back to press it into. I think would be the hope. We got Noah Fant here. Anybody I could stack up late? Not really. Jonnu or Noah Fant? I feel like not dissimilar plays. I'm going to go Jonnu. Like getting a shot. Oh, he's got a week 6 bye too? I should have maybe looked at that. Oh, no, the Devil's tight end room. Oh, God damn it. Not great by me. All right. Well, we got to get another tight end. We have to add a 4th tight end to our Kelsey Hawkinson build. That's a bit of a waste of capital. Good thing we have 20 rounds. It would take a giveaway coming at the end. Stay tuned here. Every time I pick a 12 and 90 site, but DK, I want to quit the site, quit the draft 4 picks in. I like the 12 spot. I don't, the 12 spot, the worst thing for me is just having to wait for everybody else to make their picks. But 12 spot, you have a little more flexibility to reach for guys who won't come back to you if you want. I wouldn't go crazy on that always, but you can do that. You also get a good amount of receivers too, like guys I like. You get your Harrisons usually, your Drakes, Debos. I think there's enough guys to go around here. The Tank, Zay Flowers combo for week 17 is pretty good. So I'm okay with the 12 spot. Not mad at it. I've also had it a lot, so I've had to get used to it. But I think people are down on it because it's like you're not getting superstar receivers, but you're getting, you're getting the equivalent, I think, this year of last year's Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb kind of talents. Guys where there's a world where they can easily be a top 5 receiver that you can imagine. I think that's what you're rooting for those guys. These streamers have too many distractions to check bye weeks. I mean, I'm never a great bye week checker anyway, but here it's also like it's on the screen, wasn't highlighted to me. And frankly, I'm just not used to looking out for a week 6 bye, but it's okay. Total points league. We're trying to survive week 6. That's all we can do. Tight ends can't go into my flex. That's true. I'm sure they'll be hitting all the time. The Devil's lettuce gives you the Devil's tight end room. That's hurtful. What have I done to deserve this besides all of my own actions? That's what we ask about this tight end room. Feeling okay at receiver. Could have maybe dug a little bit more there. But that top 6 is correlated. Got guys I like on offenses I like. Not really much more I can ask besides that. It was a stream draft number 190 for me on the year as well, guys. So, I don't know. 10 more. 10 more until we hit 200, which was the goal to start the year. Be crushing it. I also feel kind of mucusy, so bear with me while I mute. I think I'm getting a summer cold, which is my least favorite kind of cold. Been sneezy lately. Dopey. Doc. I've not been Doc lately. Grumpy? I'm a little grumpy, I guess. I haven't been that grumpy, especially, situation aside, considered. Juwan Johnson goes. Yeah, Colby Parkinson, I think somebody said above. Hartman said above. Colby can do it. At this point, we're just doing the bit. I feel good at RB. RB's not going to get better at this point. Receiver, I'm going to add some guys on late. We're having fun today. I knew that one. I saw it on the screen. He does correlate, though. He fits with Puka Nacua. So that's the issue. Who's the best week 6 tight end? Like, who's got a great week 6 matchup? I think I'm going to have time to look up the NFL week 6 schedule. I know I'm going to take. I know this would be a good one. Tight end 5. Yeah. You got 20 rounds. So what if 20% of the team is tight ends? Or 25% of the team? Shit. All right, Theo Johnson. We did it. We found one. He's not a week 6 bye. So the team so far, very well balanced because of all the tight ends. We've got CJ Stroud, Kirk Cousins, Joe Mixon, Tyjae Spears, Devin Singletary, Nick Chubb, Tank Bigsby. RB room could have been a little bit better, but frankly, like, Bigsby's got to be the cap no matter what. We're just hoping Chubb comes in. He's paying off, a much higher ADP when he does come in. Puka Nacua, Drake London, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, Jameson Williams, Darnell Mooney, and a tight end, a bit of an adventure here. Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, Jonnu Smith, Colby Parkinson. We had to get the 4th tight end in so we weren't doing full sacrilege here. So we got another week 6 bye, and then one non-week 6 bye, Theo Johnson. So we did it. Team feels good. Eric saying, don't think I've ever laughed harder at a basketball stream. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. If you enjoyed this stream, guys, if you enjoy adventures in building basketball teams, subscribe down below, hit that like button. New drafts every day here. I've been doing every day for about a month now, and that's going to continue down the home stretch. So stay tuned here. We'll see what the BBM fill rate is because that's going to determine the structure of content here this week. But either way, I have 2 more doubleheaders on drafters next weekend to close us out. So Labor Day weekend, stay tuned. You will get another batch from me. Dan Zach has he just woke up with a classic Chubb. He had no idea why. Like, I should save the last part of this until we're doing the giveaway. So that's what I'll do. That'll be how I celebrate a giveaway here on stream. A giveaway coming up at the end of the video. Hashtag 5TE will probably be the hashtag. Jordan Matthews scored a touchdown with Carolina's first team offense. What if he buries us all this year? He was a decent receiver when he was a receiver. Just what an odd journey. He and N'Keal Harry both, though, shot to make the roster as a tight end. I mean, I would say at this point, Matthews, I think he should make the roster, right? Though it's hard to imagine him cutting one of Ian Thomas or Tommy Tremble. N'Keal Harry might not make it. Not sure about that. But he was a lead tight end for them yesterday. All right, this team could use a couple more receivers. Gonna have to dig deep for him here, I think. But there are always options at receiver late. Honestly, decent amount of credible guys still on the board. All right, I'm not mad at this. Is it Matthews? He's got to be, I think he's more like 32? Yeah, wow, 32. Holy shit. I swear to God, I guessed that before seeing the screen, but yeah, he's 32. Oh, God. I got to tell you, that wasn't info in my head. That was just a full guess, but I must look like Rain Man with that one. Spags, the GOAT basketball dreamer. Thank you to our guy Kendrick, who is always the kindest man, and I appreciate him for it. Shout out our guy Kendrick. Shout out all you guys watching. Appreciate you hanging out with me on a Sunday. So Khalif Raymond went. That is a downer. I thought he would have increased our Detroit bet in a nice way. I think we're trying to get projectable guys here. Slayton wouldn't be bad. I think that's the first pick here. Darius Slayton. Does correlate with our Giants bet and our Theo Johnson bet. Again, those team-level bets and total points, I think, have a little more value. They still work, obviously, at underdog, but I think they have a little more value across the board on total points formats. You're just making a bet. Basically, the team is scoring points in the regular. Different guys are getting there. Basically it. Not on Javon Baker very much. Yeah, I think I have like 6% on BBM. I don't know if I might have like 1 or 2 teams of them here. Don't think he's really a viable pick at this point. He could earn his way up, but I don't know if that gets you in a New England offense that hasn't looked too good. All right, one more receiver here. All right. I was looking at Josh Reynolds because I would like to get more of him. There he goes. Josh Reynolds, final pick here. No correlation, but just a good projectable receiver, which is what we're looking for at this point. CJ Stroud, Kirk Cousins, Joe Mixon, Tyjae Spears, Devin Singletary, Nick Chubb, and Tank Bigsby. So a little bit thinner at RB than we need to be in a round 20 draft, but I can live with it. Puka Nacua, Drake London, Stephon Diggs, Calvin Ridley, Jameson Williams, Darnell Mooney, Darius Slayton, and Josh Reynolds. So because we went away from receiver for so long, I wanted to get some projectable guys here. Full point PPR guys as well. I think these both work a little bit better on this site. Travis Kelce, TJ Hawkinson, Jonnu Smith, Colby Parkinson. We didn't have to take 4 week 6 buys. I'll admit that, but we did. And Theo Johnson, tight end 5. So the giveaway today, guys. Well, first of all, the giveaway that's most important to you is going to be this giveaway on Drafters. In fact, you're giving away $100 in bonus cash. Wow, what a giveaway. You could take advantage of that first and foremost. Second part of it is going to be hashtag 5TE. Hashtag 5TE is your giveaway hashtag. The winner here, we will draw in a moment for hashtag 5TE. They'll get an entry in the Drafters Million Tournament for free here. $15, $500K to first place. And they will also get my heart. I don't know. But they'll get the entry for sure no matter what. And here we go. Here's the winner. The one thing about having facial hair is like, I just want to singe my facial hair off, especially on stream. What a fucking nightmare that would be. Maybe good for views. Maybe a few people would clip it, but I don't want that. I don't want to burn alive on stream. But yesterday, our guy, Mr. Popinski, picked up the win. Today, it could be you. You got 87 people. Why don't we, like, if you're watching the stream, just put in the hashtag. No matter what, just do it. And the only guy who can't win is Pat Joyce because he's won twice. He's the luckiest man in the community. But anybody else, you're good to win again. I'll give you another minute here. Get it in. Hashtag 5TE. If you want a free Drafters Million entry. It's crazy we don't have 80 entries. Like, what are you guys who are watching? Like, do you not want a free entry? Get your little fingers over. Maybe they're at a different point of the video. Is that possible? All right, I'm going to draw it. I'm going to take a sip of water. Then I'm going to draw it. Look, if I were masturbating and the person in the video was like, hey, do this, and I knew they were talking to me, I'd probably give it a shot. Probably don't have drafters. Well, they should get it, and they should use promo code SPLASH. This is their time. It's their time to shine. All right, we're drawing it. We're drawing it. Beep, bloop, 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 bloop. I'll make the sound effects for it. Spurious news. Spurious news. One of our beloved regulars here. He wins. First win of the day. Spurious news. Leave me a comment after the video, not in the chat, with your drafters username. So I'll send it over tomorrow. But Mr. Popinski, Spurious news are 2 giveaway winners this week. Shout out to them. Appreciate them both being good guys around here. Anyway, guys, go play on Drafters if you haven't yet. It's a lot of fun. You can even smoke joints and draft your teams. They won't hold that against you. But again, I have a lot of fun drafting on Drafters as well. You can see too, you can play with structure a little bit more, which I think is a fun thing for some of you guys out there who get tired maybe of doing the same kind of teams over and over again in an underdog, maybe on DraftKings. Your Drafters gets a little bit different. And the big parts, again, I finished top 110 last year with only 9 entries. This year, I'm putting in about 3-4x that. Going to see your opportunity to go higher on the leaderboard there because of the fact the tournament's only going to be like 75% filled, maybe 80% on the outside, but you're going to have a better shot at having your biggest win you've ever had in best ball. My best finish is in Drafters. So that's to the credit here of what you're going to get Check it out, drafters.com, promo code SPLASH. Of course, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, leave a comment. Your engagements go a long way for me, especially as I've been grinding it out 7 days a week for basically the last month. I've got one more week of it, 7 days a week here. So let's keep it rolling. Hit that subscribe, hit that like. Shout out to all the fine folks who joined the channel. We have a few more to add on after Friday. I'll add them at some point this week. But you too can join down below, get a VIP Discord. My rankings, which get updated, will get updated tomorrow. Also get my news document and team reviews for me right now, 10 a month. So if you're going to get them in fast, I guess. But do that. Join down below. And follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. And I'll be back tomorrow with more. Oh, God, I was going to say I'll back on Monday. Tomorrow's Monday. Fucking A. So I'll see you guys tomorrow with more. Enjoy your weekends. Smoke them if you got them. And, of course, and also drafters, too. And, of course, good luck. Bye-bye.